this is Kylie from Hello Crafter and welcome to the Gingerbread and Peppermint Stamp a Dozen class. This is September's Stamp a Dozen class. I'm going to be doing these every month up until Christmas, and you're going to make 12 cards each time with a different theme. So this month's theme is the gorgeous peppermint and gingerbread papers. So you've got half a pack of those in your kit, you've got some ribbon and some embellishments, and your card packet. So these are the cards. There's 4 designs. You're going to make 3 of each. So this is card design number 1, number 2, number 3, little pocket card, and number 4. I'm going to show you a couple of different variations of each card. You've also, in your handout, you've also got some other images in there that you can use as a guide. The cutting measurements are also in there. If you don't have that, I can email you a PDF and you can print it out yourself. You've also got a bonus project in there, which is this gorgeous craft gift box, which you'll decorate with your elements. So let's get started. The first thing you're going to want to do is start cutting out some of these elements from your papers, and if you have the dies, then the dies will cut these shapes out, most of them anyway. There are some that the dies won't cut out, for example the mitten and these Christmas tree ones, but the others will cut out with the dies. But if you don't have the dies, that's fine, because they're fairly simple shapes to actually cut out. So I'm going to get cracking and just cut out a few of these. For the cards that we're making, you probably only need about 20 to 25, depending on how many you want to put on each card. If you want more on, then just cut more out. But I've counted up in the half pack of papers that you've received in your kit, there are 72 whole images like this that you can cut out. So it might be worth just having a little session with your scissors and have a relaxing session of fussy cutting when you're in the mood, and then have them all ready to go when you want to assemble your cards, and it will save you a lot of time. You can pop them in an envelope or a little box or a little bag to keep them safe until another session of crafting. So there's a little tip for you, and it's good to get plenty cut out while you are in the mood. These little circles can be cut out as well, and there is a die that will cut that circle out, but actually sometimes it's just as easy just to use your scissors. So I'm going to carry on and cut lots more out, and then I'll come back and show you the results of my labour. So there you go, I've had a pretty good go at cutting lots out, and I'm going to just put these to one side, and I'm going to get my card kit number 1 out. So the design number 1, which includes these bits here. So you've got a red card base, a green matte layer, and this white piece here, which you can use to stamp a sentiment on. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get some pattern paper on this matte layer. So I want to cut my pattern paper down to just smaller than this layer, this green layer. And the measurement you need is 9.5 centimetres across by 13.8 centimetres long. So get your trimmer out and cut a piece of your 6" by 6" piece of paper down to that size, and glue it down. Now at this stage, before I do anything else, I like to arrange my card and decide what sort of layout I want. Now, bring back some of your elements and just maybe have a play around. Decide where you want to stick your sentiment piece, whether it's right in the centre or maybe a bit lower down, so that you can add some of these pieces here, like this. That might be a little bit too fussy on this particular background that I've chosen, so I think I'll go for something really simple on this one. So I might just add this one, and I might stamp a sentiment just on this side here, so that's a nice space there for a greeting. So if I grab my stamp, which is actually from the Gingerbread and Peppermint set, just move that out of the way. I'm just going to stamp it right on the edge here. And then I also maybe want to decide if I'm going to add some of my ruffled ribbon as well. So what you can do is maybe tie it around your card, top or bottom, or this is another little trick, you can have a little trim, like have the ribbon poking out just a little bit on the bottom of that piece there, and it creates a nice little ruffled effect there, like a little, I might do it on both sides and I'll show you what that looks like. So the easiest way to attach ribbon to your card is with the tear and tape. You can use glue, the normal Tombow glue, but it will take longer to dry, and before it dries you might just find that you need to leave it alone because it won't fully stick down until the glue's dry. So what I'll do is peel off the backing, and then I'm going to take my ribbon and lay it half on and half off. If I turn it round, you can see it just leaves a little ruffle, and I can take my scissors and just cut it right to the edge like that. And same again, this side, half on. Just let you just play around with it a little bit, and again trim that down. So I've got a ruffle on the top and the bottom, and I'll just add a bit of glue and get that stuck onto this piece. And I'll stick this down on the front of my card. And then just add my little element here, a snowflake. I think I'll use a couple of foam pads for that. Let's put 3 on. And not forgetting the little gems. So let's have a glittery one in the middle of that, and maybe a couple of red ones here. Maybe another one there. So that is a version of card number 1. And I'll just show you another one that I did earlier, or another 2 actually. So that was another one, very similar layout there. And this one, I used the white piece portrait, had a little bit of ribbon which I wrapped around the matte layer before I stuck it on the card front. And then this is raised up with foam pads, and the sentiment stamped that way on that piece there. So there's some versions of that card. Now we can get on with card number 2, and that is this one with the green, the Old Olive card base, and we have some die cut circles here as well. And I want to cut a strip of my paper down just a rectangle which measures 5.5 centimetres by the full length of the full width of the card, which is 14.8. And as it happens, after you've done your card number 1, you do get a bit left over that is just a bit bigger than that, so you can trim that down. So I am going to just use my trimmer to trim that down to 5.5 by 14.8. You can use that little bit for something else if you want to. Let's just put that there just in case I want to use it. And now this time, you can decide whether you want your card in portrait or landscape. So I might try a landscape card for this one. And I can never decide which pattern I want, but I think I might go for that. You can do the same thing with your ribbon trim if you want to have a little bit of red poking out at the bottom there, if you want to. Actually, I do have a die cut piece that I used. I used the gingerbread dies to cut this piece instead of a ribbon, so I might use that on my card. If you don't have the dies, you can't do this, sorry, but your ribbon would be a very good alternative. This is a nice intricate shape here. So again, just have a little play with your layout, decide where things might go. This small one is really good for stamping a sentiment onto, and this larger one is good for framing some of these elements. So I don't know, maybe some mittens on this one, I think. If I can find my other one. There. My pair of mittens. Okay, let me just get a sentiment stamped onto there now. It's the perfect size for this particular stamp. I think I also might do some extra little stamping on this green. So I'm using Old Olive ink on my Old Olive card. I'm going to create a background. Now I'm more or less happy with everything. I'm going to glue stuff down now. Start with my paper strip. And then just tiny little spots of glue on this trim. I can glue the white circle onto the red circle. It just leaves a little scalloped border around. And there's card number 2, and I'll show you the alternative, and that's this one. So Obviously this one's landscape, this one's portrait, but with the exact same elements there. I've used the ruffle trim effect on this one as well. And I've added some extra embellishments on here. In fact, there's one missing. I'll just stick one there. There you go. So we're on to card number 3. And this one, there's 3 at least variations that you can make with this one. So this triangle piece here, which I've cut for you, can create a little diagonal pocket that can slide in a tag. And that's the idea for this card. So you need to do a background on here, and you need to cut your paper down the same measurements. So it's 9.5 by 13.8 centimetres. So here's one I've already cut. That will go nicely in the centre. And if you do want to add a pocket, you can decorate this triangle there by cutting a piece of paper down to 9.5 centimetres by 9.5 centimetres square, and then chopping it on the diagonal, which is what I've done there. So this was a square, and I've cut it in half on the diagonal in my trimmer. So that's made a little triangle that fits really nicely inside your cinnamon cider triangle. This would then stick on to the front of the card there. You would put a little very thin line of glue along the bottom edge and the side edge only, not anywhere else, just across there, and then stick it down, which is what I'm going to do now. I'm just going to get that bit done so that I can show you the other stages. And what you'll notice is the brown card is bigger than this paper background, and actually your papers will line up perfectly, and the actual pocket itself will be quite hidden, so it all looks neat. Now your tag, you can decorate with any of these elements as well. So let's try maybe one of these bells, and then we could stamp the sentiment onto here. Quite cute. So I can glue that down onto my scallop oval. That might go just off the pocket, and add another bell there. So I've got 2 bells. Ooh, decisions. So after much faffing, I've decided to go with stars. And I will just decorate my tag with a star here, and I'll add one up here in the background too. I'm going to place one in this area, just poking out from my sentiment. Just make sure I don't have any adhesive hanging off the edge, and just get a length of ribbon, probably around 15 centimetres or so. Fold it in half, thread the loop through the hole, then pull it halfway through, open the loop up and put your ends through. And then gently, because it's ruffled, it might just take a little bit of manipulation just to get it through and pull tight. You want to be quite gentle so you don't rip the card. There you go, and then just trim the ends off. I like to do mine at an angle. And you've got a ready-made tag, really easy. So if you wanted to add some colour onto the tag, you could add some little strips of paper. As long as you cut them to 5 centimetres across, they will fit on your tag, and that just adds a little bit of colour. So you could pop your tag back in, and this could be used as a card or an extra secret message. And you can pop a gift card in here. That's one idea. So the other variation on this pack is to not use the pocket, but just create a simple card and a matching tag to go with it, a separate tag. So the piece that was cut from this piece of paper here was cut down to create the tag. The measurements are in your handout. And then we've got the same element repeated so that it matches perfectly. So for your final card, card number 4, you get these pieces. You get the white card base, a white matte layer, a white stitched rectangle, and then some die cut shapes. So this card that I've designed doesn't feature any of the papers. I've concentrated more on showing you these gorgeous dies. So I've done you a selection here, so you can have one set for each card if you want to, or do something creative with just the intricate shape, and it's up to you. So if you want to follow my design, then just glue down each of these intricate pieces. You just dot tiny little dots of glue on the back, just dot them around in order to stick them down. As little glue as you can, basically. So move those to one side. And there's a couple of options here though. If you don't like the white on white effect, if that's just too simple for you, there's a few things that you can do. The first thing, which is what I will be doing, is take this piece and emboss it. So for example, I have this lovely Merry Melody embossing folder which does like musical notes, and that is really, really gorgeous. So I'll be embossing my pieces. Alternatively, you can stamp this. If you have a nice stamp like, I don't know, a snowflake stamp or any kind of stamp that you could use as a background, you could stamp it. Create like a pattern paper of your own, effectively. Or you could replace this piece with a piece of paper that you cut yourself. So if you want to add in a big block of colour and make it much more bright and bold, then this piece measures 10 centimetres by 14.3. So just use your trimmer and a piece of your paper and cut that down to size, and you can stick that on. This is what it would look like, so I'll just show you an example of what effect it might have, something like that. So that's 3 alternatives for you. So like I say, I'm going to emboss those and stick them down, and I'm going to stick these down, and then I'm going to stamp a sentiment on my stitch rectangle at the bottom, leaving room for the main feature. So I'm going to do that. So these are my 3 finished cards all put together. I've used 3 different embossing folders on each card, and I've added a little bit of the metallic elegant trim. I've used a little glue dot to stick my bows on top there. That is your 4th card design. And lastly, I just wanted to show you your bonus project. You have a craft gift box. It's flat packed. You have to assemble it. It's really easy to do. You just need to make sure that all of the fold lines are really, really well folded and scored. It's useful to use your bone folder just to make sure that those creases are really pressed well. And then you've got all sorts left over. You've got a little tag die cut to stamp a sentiment if you want to. And then all I've done really is just stick things on. So I've tied a piece of the ruffled ribbon around and just stuck my elements around it. I've secured the ribbon just at the back with a little bit of tape. You can see it's just a little bit of tape just there so that it doesn't fall off. And you can see how it opens like a tray. You can always hide the back where I've stuck it on the window. I mean, you can make sure that your adhesives are stuck down on the edges so you don't see that at the back. Or you can cut a piece of paper and cover the window if you want. This one I'll probably cut another one slightly bigger just to fit the inside of the box so that it's lined. But this fits probably around 5 or 6 cards with envelopes in, so I'll just show you how they'll fit in. The envelopes you have to just press in really carefully at the bottom because they just fit. So that's your bonus project. I'd love to see what you do with the front of yours. So the last thing I wanted to show you was a couple of bonus cards. And these are especially good for using up some of your scraps that are left over from all those 12 cards that you've just made. For the first card, I am actually going to cut up some of these little elements here. So this sheet is lovely, but these pieces are quite small. But even so, if I go slowly, I can quite easily cut out around the edges. So I will do that, and you can come back to me when I've finished. So there we go, I've done with my cutting, and I'm just going to make a really super simple card. This is just a plain white card base. Right, I've already stamped this actually. I've stamped it at the bottom with cheers. I think I will do a set of 6 like that. And there's a dead simple card to use up those little pieces there that you don't want to go to waste. And there's actually some, if you see, these ones on the edge that are partly, they're not whole ones. Don't waste them. If you cut out a few of these and I'll show you what you can do with these ones. So I have a real red card base and I've got a white rectangle there which measures 7 centimetres by 11, and then this is 7.5 centimetres by 11.5. It's half a centimetre bigger. Doesn't really matter what size you do these pieces here. So the first thing I want to do is stamp a greeting in the middle of this. And then I'm going to glue this down onto my card. And then these part pieces I can arrange around the edge. And they look like they're just popping out from behind. So I'll glue those down. And then, of course, I need to embellish this with some of these little gems. Just dot those around. Let's put quite a few on. There we go, that's 2 cards in one. using those leftover bits from this piece. So for your second bonus card, I've just got a cinnamon cider card base here, and I've got a piece of cinnamon cider card which is 9 centimetres by 13.5 centimetres, and I've taken some papers and I've cut them into strips. They're 2.5 centimetres wide by 9 centimetres long, so they are the same length as my piece of card here. And what the idea is, because I've got 5 of them, all different ones, these should fit on my piece of card with a slight gap in between them. So how I attach them then, I'll take the first one and I'll stick that right at the top, so the top aligns and the sides align, so that's just the perfect fit on top. And I'll do the same for my bottom one. Then I'll arrange these ones just so that I know what kind of gap I need to leave between them. So it's about a couple of millimetres gap. So if I know that, I can pretty much judge how big the gap is there. I always do my middle one last. So I can get my gaps even at the top and the bottom. And that simply gets layered onto the front of your card. And now I can add some elements. So I've stamped these and die cut them out, but you can use what you've cut out of the papers, anything you've got left over. And I've also stamped a sentiment on a little label that I've die cut. And add my elements. And just finish off with these gems. I hope you've enjoyed making those cards, and it's given you lots of ideas for lots of different things that you can do with your papers and your ribbon and your embellishments. I do keep crafting with them. You've got plenty to use up, so hopefully lots more card making. If you have any questions about the cards in your kit or these ones that we've just made now, then just drop me a message. And if you'd like to purchase anything, any extra supplies, please let me know. Just drop me a message. I'll be happy to help with that too. So next month we're going to be featuring the penguin bundle. So if you haven't already got the penguin stamps and punch, I highly recommend that you do. As part of the class, you can add that on at a 20% discount. So it's a really good way to save some money on that if you were thinking of purchasing it anyway. So I will also be providing these Penguin Playmates papers as part of the kit as a bonus because of celebration. So if you do book that class before the end of October, then those papers will come in your kit as well. So I hope to see you next month. Happy crafting. Bye bye.